We're live. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? What's good? Come on in here.
I can see you on the other side, through the glass, trying to read my mind. Yeah, shaping hands, but I don't know the signs. We might understand if we really try. I can see you on the other side, yeah, through the glass, trying to read my mind. Shaping hands, but I don't know the signs. We must overcome what words divide. Hey.
You know, music is the universal language. No matter the country we are born in or the color of our skin, it brings us all closer together.
Welcome.
Envy built up around me, hard to see through the window. Racism alive though, fought for freedom like Django. Unchained no chains bro, God did it true for no fable. I pick up my cane and I'm able to reign out a slave to your labels. And I'm glowing, yeah, made in the image of God. Not hear me when I speak, making me feel flawed cause it takes patience. But be gracious and add to the conversation. Being silent is complacent, this generation needs agents, man. They tell me pull myself up by my bootstraps. But it's hard to do.
What's good? Welcome to Language Barriers, Convos with Concepts, where it's time to listen, learn, love, and act. To help initiate change in society, rethink the way we see the world, address the tensions in society, and ultimately just grow together. I wanted to create a space to have healthy conversations and help to reshape the African-American narrative. So I re-released a song that was on my album, The Exchange Student, just due to the racial climate that we're living in, and recently made a music video to reflect the times. So y'all need to check that out ASAP, all right? But I have a very, 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 very special guest. He is an incredible musician, a writer, a husband, a dear friend, and confidant. Please welcome the one, the only, Christopher Stevens.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
What's up? How you doing, bruh?
I'm good, man.
Yo, man, thanks for just coming in and kicking off the series. For the people who may not know you, tell us who you are, what you do. Give us the rundown.
My name is Chris Stevens. I am a trumpeter primarily, from the city of Camden originally, born and raised. And I played for John Legend, Eric Roberson. I used to play for Ty Tribbett for a long time. I used to tour with Jeff Bradshaw, and then through that relationship, also The Roots and Kenny Lattimore and a bunch of people. So really been blessed to do a lot of cool stuff.
Excellent, man. Excellent. So again, humble brag. I mean, you are like literally the meekest person in the world. And like, I respect you for that, man. I remember one time when I had my album release party, and we got helicopters out here. So I remember at my album release party, you were literally on tour. You had like a break in the tour with John Legend. And, you took the time out of your schedule to even come play for my album release. And that was major, man. So I just wanted to give you props, and like, you are amazing. And I respect you, man, like for real. So
it's mutual, man.
Yo, thank you.
Thank you. I wouldn't have missed it.
Yo, man, it was an amazing night too, man. Thank you so much. So just overall, I know you've written a few classic songs, like, one in particular is one my favorite. So kind of just tell us about like your writing ability. I know that's like a major thing.
My writing ability. Ew, okay. I wrote my first song for a middle school talent show contest.
Yeah.
Song that I dedicated to my brother was called Yo Bro. And then at that point I was primarily just playing trumpet, but I always would sit down at like the organ at church and stuff and fiddle around with the keys, and I just have always loved the piano. And so I would spend a lot of time just kind of creating melodies and songs, and I started playing guitar at some point, and then that really helped my writing take off. And so I've been blessed to write a few songs for Ty, 3 actually, one being Chasing After You.
I'll be chasing after you. I'll forever be. Yo, classic.
That one.
Bro.
Well, that guitar part that you hear is from a song of mine called Why We.
Okay.
And Ty had an instrumental version of it, and he just ended up writing to it. So that's how that
Awesome,
came
man.
about.
That's what's up.
Yeah. But
Dope.
what's up?
And then you also have 2 other groups. I would just want you to kind of touch on those.
Yeah, I have a band called Vertical Current
Mm-hmm.
that I started 10 years ago.
Okay.
And another band called the Chris Stevens Quartet.
Nice.
They're both jazz bands, but in somewhat different lanes. I'd say Vertical Current is mainly geared towards jazz fusion, but we really do a little bit of everything.
Nice.
And then the Chris Stevens Quartet is more a balance between traditional and modern jazz. It's not
Okay.
exactly fusion, but there's some element of that. I can't help it because I grew up on that.
Okay. Okay. Now, I do remember coming together and working on the exchange student, and particularly working on language barriers. There were, just talk about kind of us even gelling together. Like, do you remember kind of like when we met up? I remember something with 2017, 2018, but I can't remember.
So when you first hit me up, it was like 2013 for that feeling.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like 2 years later, I got another email saying, so I'm ready to do that song. I think it was maybe another year before we actually did it, but once we got together,
Yeah.
it just all fell into place.
Word up, man. That's what's up. That's what's up. I remember we were working on Chemistry. So Chemistry was a song I did for my wife Zipporah, and I think that's where the original track was That Feeling. Yeah, 2013. That's crazy. And then we took a 2-year break because I think I was still trying to work through some more stuff then. And then brought Melissa T. She did the hook. So I remember you coming to Camden. We did the hook in 2016. It sat some more. And then I think we all kind of came in the studio and like finished it out 2017. You laid down some horns and some other stuff. And then we released it Valentine's Day 2018. Like, it's crazy, just like the story or the journey of a music project, man, or just even a song. It's crazy. So
a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, it's a ton that goes into that mug, man. So, but I remember particularly with Exchange Student, and then there was like tons of injustices going on at that time. Unarmed Black men were still being murdered by the same people who were supposed to protect us, amongst other things that prompted us to even write the song. So kind of like jog my memory, and tell the rest of the people that are watching right now kind of how language barriers even came to fruition.
I remember you invited me to your place and you played the track for me.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about the title. We just really went in on the title, like language barriers, and just trying to imagine what all that encompasses. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And in our discussion, I remember recalling my trip to Germany. I was on tour in Germany, and the band, we had to wash clothes, and so we go to the laundromat, and we can't read these signs to save our lives, and so we don't know really how these machines work. And you think it's just a regular way, you put the coins in, whatever, but it was like a little different. So we needed some help. Somebody came out, helped us, and before we knew it, other people were coming in, and I figured that they would know what to do. It was like, you from here, but they were asking us for help, but they didn't speak English.
Yeah.
So we didn't speak their language. They didn't speak our language. And yet we had to figure out some way to, explain to them what we were told, of how these machines work. And so
sure, yeah.
I think it just really worked because we wanted to help and they wanted to hear what we had to say. Like, we wanted to communicate. And so that's the thing about the language barriers. It's like, it can be overcome if we want to understand, if we want to, listen to each other. It's not indestructible. We can certainly tear down those walls and those things that keep us from connecting.
Yeah, man, that's real. Like, literally being able to understand and relate with each other, being patient with one another. And I think you even said it in a conversation before, like having that conversation, that heart to heart, recognizing that each of us have something significant to say to one another,
Yes, sir.
but like we can miss each other. Like, and we're talking about that this happens in our marriages. So it's like, unpack that for me.
Yeah. So it's like, sometimes I may say something or do something, and I may not realize in that moment that my wife is going to take it a certain way because of things that she's experienced. You know what I mean? Or
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. She may say something or do something, and I may take it a certain way because of things I've experienced. And it's like when we talk to people, there's more than just that particular moment in time that is being referenced.
Yeah.
People have a history. It may be a history of hurt. It may be a history of, you know, disappointments or any number of different things
Right.
that intensify that moment. You know what I mean? And it may cause them to go back to that moment, and you don't mean to necessarily. You might be well meaning, but
Yep.
you have to take into account that people are entire people. They have a whole life, a whole history, a whole thing about them, whether you know it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
we can't be so callous and careless with how we interact with one another. We have to be considerate of those things, and take into account that what I'm saying may mean something different to you than what I'm meaning. So it's also important that we are intentional about being clear and about being sensitive to one another. And on the flip side, if you are that person that has that history, that hurt that you're reflecting on, also taking into account that this person that is speaking to me, especially if it's coming from me, this is a person that loves you. I mean, this is
Yeah.
not
Yep.
in any way intended to offend.
For sure.
So
For
I
sure.
think it's that two-sidedness of the conversation, is just being willing to listen, intently and completely,
Yeah. That's
not
major.
just partially.
That's major, bro. Yeah. And I think like, so even from when we were in the studio room in my crib, when we were writing, you had a rap to it, right? So like,
Oh Lord, why did you bring that up?
you don't got a rap per se. You know what I'm saying? Like you can, I mean, kind of
Here
because
we
I
go.
mean,
Y'all
yeah.
no, yeah, I man, I had a couple verses. They didn't
Okay.
make the cut.
Didn't make the cut.
But the one joint just said, I'm looking at it now, eager to speak, but are we ready to listen? Understanding is what we've all been missing. Yo,
Yeah.
I'm not dissing, but if we paid attention, we might realize that we both have the best of intentions.
That's a word. That's a word right there, sir.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, really at the heart of it, is, we are at least two people trying to convey something
Mm-hmm.
that we think, something that we feel, something that matters to us, and we each have to play equal part in the conversation to bring understanding, because if you're saying something, it doesn't really matter what you're saying if I'm not listening. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yep.
So what the power is in when I listen to what you're saying and ponder what you're saying, internalize what you're saying. You know what I mean? Try to understand from your perspective what that may mean, and then respond, and not just be so quick to brush it off with, what my immediate interpretation is, because that's
Yeah.
me. That's how I
Yep.
think. That's how I
Yep.
feel. But I'm not you, and I want to understand you and where you're coming from. So
For sure, man. Yeah, like there's a line in the song. The biggest communication problem is that we don't listen to understand. We listen just to reply, right? So like we already have our rebuttals or our thoughts about a particular person, a place, a group, thing, circumstance before we even hear the person out, right? Or like we even in our minds we're like, oh, they gonna get this work, or we're like online with Twitter fingers ready to attack like a lion. But that's not communication. Like we're just fueling arguments. Like it gets us nowhere, man. So
absolutely nowhere. And
yeah.
on that note, I'm a big film buff. And the thing that I really love about it is just the beauty of storytelling. And some of these stories are told in a way that you don't know what to think. You know what I mean? And so they present you with a sequence of events. And based on that sequence of events, you think a certain thing is true
Yeah.
until the next episode when they reveal more. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
that I feel like it's like that. It's like you saw this or you heard this, but you don't have the full context. You know what I mean? So you got a piece of the picture and you think that that's an eyeball that you're looking at. You know what I mean? You don't know that it's like, I don't know. it's an old dirty marshmallow. It's like it could be something completely than what you think,
Yeah.
so the whole story, and we have to listen to get that, because I think people, when they talk, the Bible says that out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. And so
Yep.
when people talk, they really are telling you what's on their heart, even when they try to disguise it. There's an element that they can't escape. Like, you're going to say something that's in your heart, it's going to come out. So we have to listen. Solomon was so wise, and he knew how to listen, and he could tell. Like, it was the thing with the two ladies. The one, her baby died, right? And then she was like, well, I'm gonna take this lady's baby. And so they go to before the king to decide who should have the baby.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, split the baby in two. And it's like, the one mom was like, all right, cool. The other one was like, no, this is my child. And he could tell, because she was passionate about that child, that's like, yo, that must really be her child. The other one doesn't even care what happens. Like, she would be satisfied with another person losing their child. So it was just the relaying of that passion and that, intent in that moment. Her heart spoke out, so I think if we listen closely enough, we can hear the heartbeat, of each other, and know that, everybody's coming from a place of their own, and it's shaped by life. Everybody has a different experience, but we're all in this together. So let's listen and let's work together to make it better for everybody.
Right. That's good, man. And like, we're even living in this time where some people from the Caucasian persuasion and even other ethnicities are starting to, get it. They're no longer turning a blind eye, and they're beginning to understand, or at least wanting to understand, a Black person's reality. So, and you said something profound in the conversation we had offline, that, now that we have their attention and the barrier's starting to crumble, something's happening, right? Like, break that down for me.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, something is really happening. There's like an awakening that's going on right now. And I was saying that, me personally, I didn't want to be so quick to run out and try to comment on everything, because I wanted to listen. I wanted to observe, make sure that I understand what it is that I'm thinking and feeling and what's happening and how to respond. Because what you don't want to happen is for you to be crying out for help and somebody finally comes to your aid and you can't even tell them what's wrong. It's like, I'm not going to waste your time. When you come, I want you to know, like, yo, it's this, it's that, is this, how can we fix it? So now that people are looking and paying attention, I'm hoping that the people who have the information, the people who understand how to best articulate what it is that we are all experiencing, that they can have the platform to speak, on all of our behalves. But even in that, like, I hear a lot of people saying that Black people are not monolithic, meaning that we're not all one thing. So even in that, I think sometimes people feel like, let me ask my Black friend, but I don't speak for all Black people. I speak for me.
Sure.
I can speak for my experiences and my lifestyle, but I don't speak for all of us. But even in that, there's still a common thread, and it's that we are all facing this similar endangerment. Which is really devastating to our community right now. And I don't know if I said this to you before or not, but certainly was talking to my wife about it, and it's like, whenever there is, and I hate to use this as an example because we are not animals. I'm not comparing us to animals, but for lack of a better tangible example, when there are endangered species, endangered animals, people go and protect them. Like, don't let this be the last of the sperm whales. Don't let this be the last of the white tigers. And it's like, but you'll let this genocide continue. People have to be endangered on a daily basis, and you never know. They don't know that they're next. They didn't wake up that morning and know, oh, somebody's going to put their knee on my neck. They didn't wake up and know somebody's going to strangle me or shoot me dead. Like, so imagine living under that duress, not knowing that this could be my day. And if we lived life thinking about that every day, we'd be in utter terror. So thank God for the peace of God, and that we don't have to put our focus on that. But it's still a real thing for so many people.
So many.
And it's just, we can't neglect that. And just be like, oh, well, lots of animals die. Like, Yeah, but they're not all endangered.
Yeah.
I mean, let's
Yeah.
save the endangered species. That's what you would do for animals, but not
Mm-hmm.
for us, not for people, not for Black people. I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand that mentality, but
Mm-hmm. It's
thank
good.
God that it's time now. It's definitely time. There's a time and a season for every purpose under heaven, and I believe that it's time now for these things to come to light. It's time now for people to start to feel some kind of way about it and to do something about it. It's
Right.
time now for things to change.
Yep.
Maybe it wasn't time before, even though we wanted it to be. You know what I mean? But it's time now. Everything has a time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm grateful that it's time for people to see it, and it's amazing to me, for those that haven't seen it, that it's new to them. You know what I mean? It's like you're really just experiencing this for the first time. I had a thought the other day thinking about someone that I know that's really upset about what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, relieved that the officers were being charged in the case of George Floyd. But I was like thinking in the back of my mind, what's going to be their response if these cops get off? You know what I mean? Because we've dealt with that
Yes.
so many times. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it's happened. Y'all didn't notice it. So what are you going to think now? You know what I mean? Are you going to still say institutionalized racism doesn't exist? You know what I mean? Are you still going to say that it's fair? That we're just imagining it, that we're just making it about race? I'm like, we didn't make it about race.
Yeah.
We didn't, but it is, and so we can't ignore that.
Yeah, man, that's real. And I think it's a time for us to listen and learn. And you pinned it on the head. It's like sometimes we don't have all the answers and we can't act like we do. Like we continually have to educate ourselves, read books. It's just not just for other ethnicities. It's for us too. We have to continue to educate ourselves. And there's things that have been left out of history books for years. Like even in our elementary and high school settings, like things have been literally whitewashed for decades, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but we have to take the time to relearn history. Everyone has to take time to relearn history, especially our white friends and allies. They have to do the same thing. And I know we both want to see change. And you got me thinking, like, what is freedom? We live in this land of the USA, land of the free, home of the brave. July 4th is coming up and it's celebrated heavy, but no one is free when others are still oppressed, right? You got Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, then George Floyd. Like things just began to shift, and Black people are just tired, right? Like we're on the verge of something huge, something big, and I think we can even get into the next conversation is this part of even God's sovereignty? Like, are things coming to a head right now? Like, what would you? I think you even asked me a question before. Like, what would you do if racism ended today? Like, what does that look like, man? Like,
right.
Unpack that for me. It's crazy.
I really can't. I still can't articulate what that might actually be like and feel like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like on one hand, I imagine, just the freedom, but to really know that it's gone, you know what I mean? To really know that it's gone is a completely different thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I can only wonder, but I hope that we find out. I'd love to find out in this generation, and if not this generation, the next, but it's got to be soon.
Yeah.
And as far as God's sovereignty, man, he's always in control. He sees the complete picture.
Yep.
And this is not bigger than him. This is not stronger than him. There's no failure in him. He doesn't make mistakes. So if this has been allowed to happen for the season that it has, and albeit a long season, it's still a season. It will pass, And I was thinking about the scripture that says, well, it's two scriptures. One in Ecclesiastes 3, where it talks about to everything there is a season and a time and a purpose to everything under heaven. And it goes forth to say it's time to die, time to live, and all these different things. But then also in Corinthians, it says this. Boom. For he must reign till he have put all enemies under his feet. He's talking about Christ.
Mm-hmm.
The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. And when I hear that, I think to myself, all right, the last thing on the list is death. Like utter, like death and destruction is going to be gone for all eternity, right? but somewhere on that list, racism is on there, even
Yeah.
before that. So I'm like, it has its day. It's going to be done with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to survive forever. It's
Yep.
not going to be like this forever. And it seems like it'll never end because it's been so long,
Yeah.
but it will end. It has to end. It can't continue. And I feel like we are so on the verge of that turning point right now. And I hope that we continue to turn and turn and turn till we turn all the way back to God, because he is the only answer, the only hope, I mean, that any of us have.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when we change the laws and we change all the systems, we still have to have our hearts and minds changed,
Yes.
and that's going to be the difference maker. That's going to be what allows us to really love everybody,
For sure. Yep.
So it's necessary for the protest. It's necessary for us to march and make our demands known and all this stuff. It's necessary. It has to happen.
Yeah.
But it's not complete without the repentance part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not complete until people are changed, from the inside out.
Yep.
So I'm
Yep.
praying that we'll see that in this day and age.
Yeah, man. It's like, it's all, you nailed it on the head, man. It's like, we know this racism stuff is just rooted in sin. Like, but God has the final say at the end of the day. Death has died. Death will die, and as we navigate this Christian faith, it's a weird time that we're living in. Yet we remain hopeful. God is still working behind the scenes. We may not see it right now, but he's still working. And kind of, you were saying something when we were talking before about seeds or something like. What?
Oh yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm a Bible head, so I gotta refer to the Bible.
Please, man.
But it says how the seed isn't quickened except it die first. So it's like you put the seed in the ground and it has to die there under the ground. But under the ground is also where it's reborn. It's where that seed takes shape and becomes alive and grows. And you don't see anything at all until you get a little sprout. And then from there, it buds and there's more, but then there's still fruit to be birthed.
Yeah.
So it's even a deeper journey beyond that, but it's all happening in a place that you can't see yet, so I'm like, man, I know it's daunting, but be encouraged, because in the place where we can't see, in the place where we can't fully understand, I believe God is working. I believe God is doing something that we can't comprehend yet. But when it happens, we're going to know that God did it, and it's going to be magnificent. We're going to give glory to his name. We have to, because only he can really do what is necessary, but I believe that he will.
Yeah, man. And so, at the end of the day, we're going to close this thing up. We're trying to keep it within a half an hour each session.
All right.
But, we just have to repent, like you said, for the kingdom of God is at hand, right? Like, but we pray for change, but we still are, of course, the hands and the feet of Jesus, right? Like, Christians can still fully commit to themselves to social justice issues without surrendering to other biblical convictions, but like, we can still be compassionate. I think like people just lost being compassionate, man. It's like we should be able to defend the oppressed, the needy and the less fortunate. And that's not a liberal agenda. It's not like a Democrat, Republican type of thing. Like, we have a crazy opportunity every single day to love our neighbor, man. And as ourselves, love our neighbor as ourselves, to defend human dignity, promoting human worth. Like, that's godliness, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, I think some people are just like kind of missing that fact.
Yeah, and I love that you called it an opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, think of what you'd be missing, not getting to love people, because being filled with hatred, excuse my language, but it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so why would you want to live like that, man?
Why are people even mad about defending that stuff? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
It's a stronghold. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But it's going to come down,
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just always reminded of Black Panther. And, like, it says, like, the strength of the Black Panther, been stripped away. I think we have even talked in prior conversations, like, a lot has been taken away from Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like our languages, you know, you have a running list of the things that have been taken away, family structure, all that stuff. And it shouldn't be like, we still have power at the end of the day, you know, like after all that stuff is still stripped, like you said. I think you can kind of comment on that, right?
In the midst of having our entire culture and history decimated, utterly decimated. We couldn't speak our language. We couldn't have they don't like our hair now.
Bro.
I'm like, it's hair. I mean, like everything that they could take, the family structure and all that has been, they just took it from, like, they disconnected African people from Africa. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's kind of in a way the advent of black, you know what I mean? Because there was this extraction of all of the rich culture of Africa.
Yeah.
But even in wake of that, black people revived in such an amazing way. God gave such a rebirth. You know what I mean? We see the Renaissance, you know what I mean? And Black Wall Street and all these different things and all the rich culture that exists today that people are still ripping off, you know what I mean, from black people, you know? I mean, listen, God has blessed black people, and I don't think that he would let it go down that everything would just be taken away and get nothing back. Bible even goes as far as to say that if the thief steals, he got to give back 7 times. So it's like every time y'all try to take away our blackness, try to take away our roots and try to make us nothing so that you can oppress us, we just come back stronger.
10 times
stronger. You know what I mean? So God has got his hand on us. You know what I mean? He loves black people. We are loved of God. So if you are black and you feel like you're not loved, that's a lie. You are loved. God loves you. I love you. You know what I mean? You are loved, and you need to know that you are loved and you are beautiful, you know, and there's a plan for your life, and it's not all wasted. All this pain, all this suffering, all this sacrifice is not going to be wasted. You know, I don't believe that that's God's intent or plan at all.
Right.
And he don't fail. So things are bad, but that's just so it could turn for the good. It's going to turn. It's going to turn. The evening and the morning was the first day. It was the evening, then the morning. You know what I mean? After the evening is the morning.
That's right.
The sun is going to rise. The day is coming. You know, we have a song. We have an album, Vertical Current. The album is called The Bright Side of Midnight. And the reason it's called that is because at midnight, you experience both the end of something old and the start of something new. That at midnight, you know, it's technically not night anymore. It's like, it's day. It's dark, but it's day. And that's what I want you to remember. It's dark right now, but it's day. The sun is coming, you know.
Come on, sir. Come on, sir. You preaching, Doc. Well, just to close off, again, like, just black people just have this glow about us. We still have power, but not even from like a message with Black Panther. It's not what I will do with the power, but what we will do with the power. It's not a us versus them. It's a global we. And again, we can be the change. We just have to be, again, the hands and the feet, and still pray, still protest, and do our due diligence while we're here on earth, while we're on mission, man. So thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate you. Everybody, if you can, follow my guy, Chris Stevens, on Instagram.
No. That's my Twitter. That's my Twitter handle. My Instagram handle is CSMusic1. And my name on Facebook is just Christopher Stevens. You'll see a picture of me, so I'm hard to miss.
Perfect. Follow him, please. Encourage him. Purchase, stream the projects that he has with Vertical Current. And yeah, man, let's just continue to change the narrative, continue to change history. So thank you for being a part. Appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me, bro.
Peace. Sayonara, everybody. Deuces.
Peace.